News, we've all been talking about tensions rising with China tonight as a suspected spy balloon, you see, continues to fly over the United States. Right now it's hovering over Missouri, expected to move east over the next few days. Secretary of State Antony Blinken slamming China, calling the move a clear violation of U.S. sovereignty. Blinken then canceling his upcoming trip to China. Some Republicans are calling for the White House to shoot that balloon down, but officials are worried falling debris could cause casualties on the ground. Top leaders on the Senate Intelligence Committee will be briefed next week. So Nicholas Grossman is a political science professor who teaches international relations at the U of I. He joins us now to talk about the political implications of this balloon. And first of all, what is this balloon? For people at home, we keep talking about this Chinese spy balloon. And they're like, why can't we get rid of it? And why doesn't it go away?
Well, big part of the reason why we can't get rid of it is because it flies so high. So it's a balloon that's up at 60,000 feet that is higher than fighter jets go. And so it can float along on jet streams. And now the Pentagon says this one is maneuverable. It can get to different heights and use the air to carry it. So it is floating very high, could possibly be shot down. It's not impossible. The U.S. could shoot down a satellite, for example, can shoot down a balloon, but that would be more difficult than, say, something that is lower down. So we don't know entirely what it is, or at least the U.S. government isn't saying exactly what it is, but it is a high altitude balloon.
So it's not a spy balloon?
Well, it's a spy balloon in that it's probably not something that would be useful for weapons.
Gotcha.
And it likely has surveillance equipment. The U.S. government would be able to tell that it is, for example, sending out signals. If it was recording things or trying to measure things, then it would be also trying to send those things back to China. And those signals can be potentially intercepted, at least observed. So there's a good sense that it doesn't have any sort of weapons on it. It wouldn't necessarily be useful for weapons from up there. What exactly, it would do to the United States that the U.S. couldn't handle wouldn't be anything unique. But also, it could be for China to try to test out what the U.S. would react to it. So it likely has some sort of cameras and other sensors that can observe things in the U.S. But beyond that isn't really dangerous, is more perhaps a test, or maybe even could be an accident. It's possible that something like this, they did in fact mean it as a spy balloon, but didn't mean it to go over the U.S. right now. But if that's the case, they wouldn't admit it.
Lots of speculation, but why doesn't somebody just give China a call?
They probably are. They're just doing it more behind the scenes.
But we also know that U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken he's canceled his trip to China. Wouldn't it behoove him to go and figure out what's going on?
Yes, but the U.S. also wants to make a show of being unhappy about this. To make something that shows China that we take it seriously. Because if the U.S. Secretary of State just went there anyway, then China's reaction is, oh, America doesn't really care. But a canceled meeting, then it creates more of an international incident, shows that the U.S. is more upset.
It's all politics. So they say it's a surveillance balloon, so we're talking about it and we're going back. So could it actually be getting some intelligence somehow?
Probably yes, but at least according to the U.S., there's nothing that it can do that, say, a Chinese satellite couldn't do. And because the satellites orbit around the Earth, they sometimes go over U.S. territory and can observe things that are in the middle of the country. For example, there are nuclear missile silos there that are underground, and they could perhaps take pictures of it, but it's unlikely that they're getting anything especially valuable that they couldn't get otherwise.
Is this the first of its kind in America?
The first one that's just flown over like this?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
There have been some balloon incidents before. Even you could go back as far World War II. There were some instances where Japan tried to attack the Western U.S. with balloons. But in terms of a big incident of a Chinese balloon flying over the Arctic and then kind of slowly flying over the U.S. and taking pictures, yes, this is the first.
And quickly, you tweeted something about this, which kind of relieves us all, right? What was your tweet saying today?
Oh, that it wouldn't be something like a biological or chemical weapons dispersal platform, because something that high in the atmosphere, if they were to actually shoot out something like that, and it's very unlikely China would, given how angrily the U.S. would react. But even if it would largely disperse in the atmosphere. It wouldn't float down to attack people. When there are weapons like that that are aimed to attack people, they want them to go off low to the ground, to be concentrated, so people really breathe them in and get hurt by them. It wouldn't be a danger up there. So I'm confident that it is as the US government says it is, a spying platform rather than something that is a weapons platform. Though, of course, if China can fly a bunch of balloons over the US, that could potentially be a dangerous weapons platform in the future.
So Professor Grossman, political professor at U of I, says we're all good, right?
Yeah, mostly good. I mean, this isn't about to start World War III,
Okay,
though
thank
the
you.
United States doesn't want these balloons flying over US
Appreciate
territory.
that, sir. Appreciate it. You have a good weekend. Thank you, sir.
All right, thanks. You too.